I always believed in anniversaries. 30 years together wasn't just a number. It was a lifetime. It was our lifetime. The candles on the dinner table flickered, casting warm shadows on the walls of the home we'd built together. The air smelled of rosemary and garlic, from the roast I had spent all afternoon perfecting. Soft jazz hummed from the speakers, wrapping the room in nostalgia. It was our song. The one we danced to the night I proposed. Linda sat across from me, her fingers delicately wrapped around the stem of a wine glass, swirling the crimson liquid. She looked stunning, effortlessly so, as if time had barely touched her 30 years of marriage. And she was still the woman I had fallen in love with. 30 years, I said, raising my glass. She smiled, but there was something behind it. A hesitation. A delay, like she had to remember how to smile at me to 30 years. She echoed, clinking her glass against mine. I didn't know it then, but that moment, that sip of wine, that look in her eyes, was the last time I'd ever feel whole in her presence. It started with a sound. At first, I thought it was my imagination. A simple ding from her phone, the kind of thing I never paid attention to. But then came another, and another. Linda reached for her phone, with a speed that betrayed her. She tilted it away from me, angling the screen just out of view. A cold, creeping sensation crawled up my spine. "Who's that?" I asked, keeping my voice even. "No one," she said too quickly. "No one." 30 years of marriage, and suddenly, I was married to no one. She took another sip of wine, and in that second, I made a decision. While she placed her glass back on the table, I reached across, smooth and deliberate, snatching the phone from her grip. "James, don't." But I already saw it. The messages. His messages. "I can't wait to see you again, baby." That kiss still lingers on my lips. "Are you sure your husband won't find out?" The words blurred, twisting in my mind like knives, stabbing their meaning into me. Linda's face drained of color. I looked up, my hands shaking, my heart pounding so violently, I could hear it in my ears. How long silence? How long, Linda? She swallowed hard, eyes flickering to the side like a trapped animal. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year. An entire eternity of lies sneaking around. Stolen kisses behind my back. And the worst part, the part that nearly made me sick. It wasn't just anyone. It was a 25-year-old, a boy. Someone young enough to be our son. I laughed. I don't know why it wasn't a joyful sound. It was hollow bitter, jagged at the edges. A younger man. That's what you wanted. She reached for me, but I recoiled like she was made of fire. "It wasn't like that," she whispered. "It wasn't about you." I slammed my fist on the table, rattling the silverware. "The hell it wasn't. You don't get to rewrite this, Linda. You don't get to pretend like you didn't just rip out 30 years and set them on fire." Tears pooled in her eyes. "I never meant to hurt you." I stood up, my chest heaving. "You think that matters?" Silence stretched between us. Long. Endless. And then, the final dagger. "I was going to tell you tonight," she said after dinner. I wanted to leave. The room went still. The air thickened, suffocating. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't trying to fix this. She was done. A strange calmness settled over me. My breathing slowed. My pulse steadied. Linda wasn't going to be my wife anymore. Fine. But she wasn't going to walk away clean either. I forced a smile. "All right." She blinked. "What? You want to leave?" "Fine. Let's celebrate first." I picked up the bottle of wine and poured us both another glass. The last one. Drink with me, I said, my voice smooth, controlled. For old time's sake. She hesitated, but the relief on her face was palpable. She thought I had accepted it. That I was being mature. She lifted her glass to endings. Then, I watched her lips press against the rim of the glass, tilting back, swallowing every last drop. It didn't take long. Minutes passed before her breath became uneven. Before she blinked confused, gripping the edge of the table, like the world had just tilted sideways. James. She whispered, voice thick, slurred. What? What did you? I leaned in, lowering my voice to a whisper. I made sure you'd never celebrate another anniversary with him. She tried to stand, but her legs gave out. She collapsed onto the floor, gasping, her body convulsing. It's poetic, really, I mused. A slow death just like the one you gave me. Her fingers clawed weakly at my leg, her lips forming soundless words. I watched as the life drained from her eyes. And then I picked up her phone. Hey baby, are we still on for tonight? I smirked, typing back. Of course. Come inside. The door's open. The young man arrived 15 minutes later. He stepped inside, calling for her, unaware of the horror that awaited him. As he reached the dining room, he saw her. The lifeless body, the wine glass toppled over, the red liquid soaking into the carpet, like a slow-moving pool of blood. His mouth opened to scream. But I was faster. The knife slid through his flesh with a sickening ease, warm blood spilling onto my hands. I leaned in close, whispering against his ear, as he shuddered his last breath. She was mine first. The house fell silent. 2 bodies. 2 betrayals. 2 lessons learned. And me. I poured myself another glass of wine. After all, it was still my anniversary. The room smelled of iron and spilled wine. The bodies lay motionless, one slumped against the dining table, the other crumpled at my feet. Linda's lifeless eyes stared at the ceiling, her lips parted as if still trying to form an excuse. The younger man, I hadn't even asked for his name, bled out across the floor, his youth wasted in the same way my marriage had been. I took a slow breath, wiping my hands on a cloth napkin. There was no panic. No regret. Only a strange sense of balance, like the universe had corrected itself. But I wasn't done yet. Linda had spent months lying to me, sneaking around behind my back. If she thought she could leave me that easily, then she didn't understand the depth of my love or my hatred. I walked over to her phone and scrolled through her messages. There were dozens of texts between her and the boy. Hotel bookings, secret rendezvous, late-night confessions. My stomach clenched, but I forced myself to focus. I needed to make this look right. I typed a message to one of Linda's friends. I don't think I can do this anymore. I made a mistake. I heard James, and now I have to make it right. Then, I sent another message to the boy's phone from Linda's. Come over. I need to see you one last time. It was all so easy. I wiped down the knife, leaving it in the boy's hand, positioning him in a way that made it look like he had collapsed beside her. A lover's tragedy. A guilty affair gone too far. By the time I was done, the story wrote itself. Linda, drowning in guilt, had lured her young lover over to confess her sins. But instead of finding comfort, she had found despair. Maybe she had begged him to take responsibility, to leave his youthful, carefree life, and commit to the broken woman who had risked everything for him. Maybe he had refused. Maybe it had ended in murder. A scorned woman, a desperate boy, and an act of violence that neither of them walked away from. It was poetic. I stepped back, admiring my work. The scene was flawless. And then a knock at the door. A visitor at the worst time. A chill ran through me. I wasn't expecting anyone. I quickly wiped down any surfaces I had touched and stepped toward the door. Composing myself, I opened it just enough to see who it was. Detective Raymond Holt. A friend. Or at least he used to be. His sharp, tired eyes scanned me, and for a moment I wondered if he already knew James. His voice was steady, unreadable. Linda's friend called me. Said she got a troubling message from your wife. My stomach tightened. I forced a confused expression. What kind of message? He studied me too long. Too carefully. She sounded broken. Like she was going to do something reckless. He hesitated. Can I come in? I glanced back, my mind racing. The scene was perfect, but it wasn't ready to be seen yet. I needed more time. I cleared my throat. I don't think that's a good idea, Ray. That was the wrong answer. His gaze sharpened. James. What's going on? I had two choices: let him in and pray the scene held up under his scrutiny, or find another way. I made my decision. I sighed heavily, stepping back. Fine. But you're not going to like what you see. His jaw tightened as he stepped inside. His boots echoed against the hardwood floor. As he took in the bodies, Linda slumped over, and the young man sprawled across the floor. With the knife in his hand, Raymond inhaled sharply. Jesus Christ. I leaned against the doorframe, letting grief settle into my expression. I came home and found them like this. He exhaled through his nose, his hands on his hips. What the hell happened here? I swallowed. Linda? She was having an affair. The words burned, but I had to sell this. I didn't know Ray. Not until tonight. I motioned to the boy. I think she felt guilty. Maybe she told him she was leaving me, and he panicked. Maybe they fought, and he... I trailed off, letting him fill in the blanks. Raymond was a veteran detective. He'd seen crimes of passion before. Murders wrapped in regret, drenched in impulsive mistakes. He rubbed his temple, his brain already working. Through the scenario. It fits, he muttered. She sends a cryptic message to a friend. The lover comes over. An argument. A struggle. He motioned to the blood on the floor. He stabs her, maybe realizes what he's done, and then he looked down at the body of the young man. Maybe he couldn't live with it. I suggested a murder-suicide. Raymond let out a slow breath. He turned to me, his eyes searching mine. This is a goddamn mess, James. I nodded, my throat tight. I know I had almost convinced him. Almost. But then, his gaze flicked downward at my hands. At the faint smudge of blood still clinging to my wrist. His expression shifted. And in that moment, I knew he didn't believe me anymore. A friend or an enemy? Raymond straightened. His hand hovered near his belt, near his gun. James, he said carefully, why don't we step outside for a minute? My pulse pounded. If I went outside, I wouldn't be coming back in. I forced a laugh. Why? You think I had something to do with this? His silence was louder than any accusation. My mind raced. I had one chance. Ray, I said, stepping closer, voice low. You've known me for 20 years. Do you really think I'd kill my own wife? He didn't answer. That was enough of an answer. I saw the moment his fingers twitched, reaching for the gun. And I moved first, the lamp from the side. Table's ceramic heavy, swung through the air, colliding with the side of his head. A sickening crack echoed through the room as he staggered, dropping to his knees. His hand fumbled for the gun, but I kicked it away, sending it skidding across the floor. He tried to say something, but the second blow ended it. He collapsed face down, unconscious. I stared at him, my breath ragged. I hadn't planned for this. I had only meant to erase Linda and her lover from my life, but now I was standing over a detective's body. Blood on my hands and no time to think. I needed a way out fast. I grabbed Raymond's gun, gripping it tight. I could disappear. I had money hidden away for emergencies. I could start over. But first, I looked back at the bodies. I had one more story to tell. And this time, I had to make sure no one would ever doubt it. I wiped my prints off the gun and pressed it into Raymond's unconscious hand. A scorned detective unraveling. After discovering his best friend's betrayal, a tragic suicide. The final piece of my masterpiece. Sirens wailed in the distance. I exhaled, calm, collected. By the time they arrived, the story would be complete. 3 dead. 1 survivor. A widowed husband who had simply come home to find the wreckage of infidelity in desperation. I straightened my shirt, stepped outside, and dialed 911. My wife, I choked out. She's gone. And just like that, I was free.